Besides social media, I spend time watching Korean drama. My mom doesn't argue with me because she's a fan too. And we both are audience dedicated enough to see more than drama.
What do you mean by more than drama?
I'll tell you.
Let's welcome Dora Zhou.
Have you ever watched or heard of this, or this? These dramas are the top 10 highest rated Korean dramas of all time, and each of them have over 100 millions of viewers worldwide. What's more, all these Korean dramas can earn an astronomical sum of 500 million New Taiwan dollars. Isn't it incredible? The secret actually lies in product placement. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dora. Let me share with you some interesting findings about what roles that product placement in Korean dramas play in teenagers' life. I first paid attention to Korean dramas when I was in elementary school. To this day, I'm still a die-hard fan of Korean dramas. It's no exaggeration to say that I was addicted to them. But sadly, I have no time to binge-watch my favorite Korean drama now. Based on my past experience, I found myself attracted to different commodities or sites appearing constantly in those dramas. And the most interesting thing is that I was not alone. Some of my friends, as well as my family members, have this kind of experience as well. I remember the time my mom ordered a famous Korean fried chicken for our dinner a week after she saw those in Korean drama she was watching at that time. If you have ever watched Korean drama before, you might find yourself wondering where their shooting site was, or where to buy such elegant-looking clothing in the city. Most of the dramas use ingenious method to insert the sponsored product. This marketing strategy is known as product placement, one of the major revenue sources of Korean dramas. To know more about this phenomenon, a study was concluded to find out what types of products are the most popular among teenagers and the reasons behind these choices. The questionnaire was divided into 4 major sections. The first section is about personal information, including gender, age, and whether respondents like to watch Korean dramas or not. The second part is the reason why they like or dislike dramas. The third category is pictures of the scenes in which product placement was adopted in Korean dramas with some follow-up questions. And the last section is a ranking of the preference of various types of products. The total number of the valid responses are 182, with 139 females and 43 males. The age of the participants ranges from 13 to 60, with over 63% of secondary school students from the age of 13 to 18. Respondents of other age groups were also included so as to gather more information for possible analysis later. It is interesting that whether participants like Korean dramas or not does not necessarily influence their liking for the goods or tourist attraction in the dramas. As it is shown in the figures, the total number of the respondents who like to watch Korean dramas are 124, while those who want to purchase the product or visit the scenic spots are 145. In other words, even those who dislike Korean dramas might still be affected by product placement. Figure 4 and Figure 5 both indicate that tourist attraction, food, and clothing are the top 3 most and second preferred product types among secondary school students. Despite the different rankings, the bar chart shows the consistency in the types that appeal to secondary school students. The phenomenon that caught my eyes is the appearance of cosmetics in both the third preferred product types and the least preferred one. In Figure 6, it's ranked first. which shows the popularity among secondary school students. Nevertheless, in Figure 7, cosmetics rank second in the least preferred product types, showing striking differences in preference among secondary school students. According to the results of the questionnaire, most of the secondary school students rank their product preference based on whether the products are close to their needs in daily life or their desire. And Figure 6 and 7 serves as the best evidence since it varies from person to person when it comes to makeup or cosmetics among teenage students. With the widespread popularity of Korean dramas in Taiwan, both adults and teenage students might fall victim to product placement, the tactic the brand used to earn a considerable revenue. But now that we are aware of how it works and what impact it may have, we are more likely to recognize our real needs in life and thus avoid an impulsive purchase. It seems that my subjects are mostly these kind of consumers who are aware of their own needs. Next time, while being attracted by the products advertised in Korean dramas, I'll first ask myself, is that the thing I really need, or is it just my desire? Second, if buying the product is just to satisfy our desire, then we can estimate whether we are exceeding our budget or not. This way, we can be both die-hard fans enjoying watching dramas and smart consumers and masters of our own decisions. Thank you.
So, besides social media and popular dramas, what else occupies our teenager time?
Mobile phone games, of course. Haven't you heard of 传说对决?
Oh yeah, I played before.
Well, mobile games are popular, but it is also a competitive market, and that is where advertisements can play their important role.
Let's welcome the next speaker, Selena Wu.
I hope you are not doing this right now, because this is what I constantly see everywhere. Everyone, from elderly to teenagers, parents will also give their phones to their kids who are as young as 3 or 4 years old. Nowadays, it is not uncommon that people have their eyes glued to phones, even when they're crossing the street. Hello, my name is Selena. I'll confess, I'm on the fables you see every day. I'm a heavy user of my smartphone. Besides searching for information and contacting my friends on the net, I spend some time playing mobile games installed in my phone. Besides smartphones, one more thing that seems to have built in our modern life is penetrating advertisements in their various forms. A mobile game player and a vulnerable consumer, I find myself attracted to those advertisements of games. In fact, those advertisements are important channels for me to learn about new games before I consider downloading them to play. I therefore feel curious about the advertisements themselves and feel like doing research on the topics. How do the advertisement companies control their ideas to create these advertisements? And how do they attract the attention of teenagers like me? First, I try to recall when I will come across the mobile advertisements. The answer? Everywhere. Traditionally, advertisements are presented through mass media, like TVs or radio, bulletin boards or buses. But now, everyone has a smartphone at hand, and even my grandma is using Line and Facebook. I can confidently say that the most effective channel for advertisements to reach potential customers is through social media. The social media, in the meanwhile, provide additional advantage for advertisement makers. First, they collect feedback from the viewers. The likes, dislikes, shares, and views become visible data for the backstage. You can imagine how important this information is to both the game companies and the advertisement. What's more, the technology of algorithm makes it possible for the advertisers to precisely reach their potential customers. As the famous joke goes, the man who remembers your birthday and fights you for the best person is not your husband, but Mark Zuckerberg. I bet you also have the experience of being fed with advertisements about the things that happen to be in your interest. How considerate and how tempting! In the world of digital advertising, your every move can be informative. Your searching or viewing history, your digital footprints. Tell companies your preference on everything, including what kinds of games you will choose to play. Teenagers are known to account for a great percentage of mobile phone game players. These players are therefore important target audience of the game's advertisements. Then, besides appearing on popular social media and relying on algorithms, how do these advertisements touch the attention of teenagers? Instead of being just static picture or text, the advertisements are more likely to show in the form of a video. Because a video has music, dynamic images, and even can be a drama with intriguing plots. Even the content of the videos is only to demonstrate how to play the game. To top off, if they are targeting teens, the company will offer elements of fashions or recent trendy things in the cyber world into its advertisements. This will cause a feeling in their customers which is called involvement. A feeling of involvement motivates the customers to buy the product, or download the game in the case. When teenagers feel involved, they are willing to succumb to the impulse to download and give that game a try. To the potential customer at the age of teens, there is another extreme way to catch their attention. If you often surf the internet, you may notice that the mobile game advertisements nowadays are becoming weird. Many of the content of the advertisement do not match the real game. These advertisements are close to lies that provide false information or at least irrelevant details about the games themselves. I even found couples of the advertisements attract young players by promising to dispense real money. They doing so is illegal, but every teenagers tend to be attracted by the spreading advertisements. The trendy false advertising is becoming a common phenomenon today and proves to be effective. Telling people is depressing the button of download. After the dumb players find that their downloads are nothing like what they had expected, they might just delete the app. They may feel or may not feel annoying being cheated, but they have downloaded anyway. To the advertisers, on the other hand, being truthful is not moral. Delete the downloads is the job to be done. Today, with the smartphone at hand, the whole world is a click away. But we are also with all kinds of conspiracies, especially when it comes to marketing strategy. Teenagers are known to be naive and such vulnerable consumers, easily addicted to mobile phone games and influenced by the advertisements. Those advertisement makers are obviously smarter than our phones and us the phone users. By looking into the advertisements that commercialize mobile phones then to me, I ask myself, am I smart enough? Thank you.
You know what? Girls don't need to be too smart.
What do you mean?
They are going to get married anyway, and they are supposed to listen to their husband for everything.
Wait, I do have a story.
On women in marriage, let's welcome Natalie Huang.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most beautiful woman of them all? Is that she in the fairy tale? Is that the woman who caused a war? Or the woman that brought a savior? Hello, my name is Natalie. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the most beautiful woman. Strolling to the other end of stage in the days of the 15th century, the Renaissance time, in the city of Florence, the magic mirror would have pointed to Simonetta. In the eyes of her contemporary people, she was classy and beautiful, She led fashion trend and was the most popular and admirable celebrity back in the era. Her name is Simonetta Vespucci. In the book The Most Beautiful Woman in Florence, this heroine led a remarkable life. This gorgeous public figure, known by everybody of her times, was, however, belonging to her husband. Back in the Renaissance era, the main mission of a daughter was to grow old enough to become a bride that linked two families together. Women were considered to legally belong to their husband, and it was what Marco, Simonetta's husband, believed in, so it was how he treated his beautiful wife in the name of love. He didn't want Simonetta to read or to be too smart. He even cheated on Simonetta when she was sick. After she got well and wanted to go out for a walk, Marco kept telling her that she was still sick and forced her to stay in bed. As you can see, it was what Marco said. This misfortune of not being able to go out or do anything at free will, not even being allowed to sing like a human being, was echoed by another heroine in a short story, The Yellow Wallpaper. It was set 300 years after the Renaissance era, in the 19th century, and ironically, in the new continent, America. The woman, unnamed in the story, was diagnosed with postpartum depression by her husband John, who happened to be a doctor. Prescribed with rest cure, our heroine was confined in the room. She was advised not to go outside and was prohibited to think and write, for it might lead to fatigue. The loving husband spared no effort of taking good care of his wife, and eventually drove her to lose health as well as her mind. Spanning over 300 years, across oceans and continents, well-known or unnamed, women seem to have not enjoyed living of their own, at least not the two women I've mentioned above. In both The Most Beautiful Woman in Florence and The Yellow Wallpaper, the two main characters were controlled by their husband. Yet the two stories were written with different narrative techniques. By narrative techniques, I mean the point of view and the tones of telling the stories. I've wondered how the writers of the two stories chose their angles and stances when making up their masterpiece. In my research, I've analyzed the factors that might lead to the adoption of narrative techniques. It seemed that the authors' respective living eras and cultural background had played a role. The author of The Yellow Wallpaper, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, used a third-person narrator. It is the bystander point of view that showed the unfair treatment the unnamed woman was faced with. For example, John didn't do any physical harm on his wife, but readers can feel choked and extremely uncomfortable. John always encouraged her wife by saying she was getting better, but he forbade her to make a move. The woman did not feel the same way, but had to accept the very authoritative advice. She did not feel right, but she had no way to refute her husband's opinion, who appeared to be so full of affection and consideration. As for the author of The Most Beautiful Woman in Florence, Elisa Palombo, she used the first-person narrator. As a reader, I could hear that Simonetta shouted her heart out loud to Marco when being treated unfairly. Another aspect to compare the two stories is that they were written in different tones. Charlotte wrote in a circumlocutory way. She didn't directly show how John abused the woman, but readers could see that John was controlling her. Unlike the naive wife, the readers are fully aware how dominant the husband is. As circumlocutory as the storyteller is, the readers have no difficulty gaining the unspoken deeper meaning. In contrast, Elisa wrote in an unequivocal way. She directly showed how Marco abused Simonetta and let our heroine speak out for herself, making clear of her feelings and thoughts. Concerned about the same issue, the differences in the two distinguished writers have told different stories in their own ways. Their respective cultural background may be the reason why they use different narrative techniques. Charlotte lived in the 19th century, when equality was still a concept too new to know. It was hard for women to speak out for themselves. I believe that the woman in the story was an illusion of herself in the real world. Charlotte was also diagnosed with postpartum depression by her husband, and she was also suffering from patriarchy. I believe that is the reason why Charlotte expressed the unfair treatment the woman was faced with, euphemistically, and narrated the story from a third-person point of view. Elisa Palombo lived in the 21st century, when women's rights have been well acknowledged, if not universally protected yet. Besides, Elisa lives and works in New York City, a city with a relatively open and liberal atmosphere. She knows how to speak out for herself by using the first-person point of view, directly and unequivocally. She articulates like a modern woman. More than women and men, ladies and gentlemen, we know better than the victims of gender inequality. Stories can be told in different ways, with different settings, long ago till today. Yet generations of writers have been concerned about similar topics. Besides learning about literary techniques, I am an inspired reader. Join Charlotte and Elisa in their hope for a world with no more gender issues. Nowadays, in the 21st century, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights asserts the equal rights of men and women. Women like Malala Yousafzai and Nadia Murad are breaking barriers and creating new models of leadership. Feminism isn't about making women stronger. Women are already strong. It is about changing the way the world perceives that strength. As it well said by G.D. Anderson, everyone should be a feminist. Women are strong, and the world should perceive that strength. Thank you.
I love the slogan, women are strong and the world should perceive the strength.
Thank you.
But do you think that men and women can also be good friends?
Well, friends can be a complicated issue because, as far as I know, many people unfriend each other because of malcommunication.
But good communication takes a lot, such as a sense of humor.
Based on cracking good jokes and a true sense of humor, it's time to invite Dora Lee.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dora. Since we use humor all the time in daily conversations, it led to my curiosity about how humor is used and what are the purposes. I assume that everyone has this kind of experience. You try to sound amusing and playful to others, you make a joke, trying to lighten the atmosphere. However, you don't realize that you are using inappropriate humor, and you end up offending others and making the situation worse. For example, I believe that everyone knows about the Will Smith stabbing incident. Not long ago, during the live broadcast of the Academy Awards, the host, Chris Rock, made a bad joke about Will Smith's wife's hair loss problem. While he was expecting laughter from the audience, Will Smith couldn't control his anger and walked on the stage to slap Chris Rock. Isn't this an awkward incident that you want to avoid in your life? By knowing what humor styles you use under different circumstances, we may interact with people more pleasantly and effectively, and we can keep ourselves away from this sort of socializing taboo. My research topic is humor styles in the American sitcom Friends. I examine the humor styles in the popular American sitcom Friends based on their theoretical foundation, the Humor Styles Questionnaire. When it comes to comedies full of funny jokes, this is classic. Ross Geller, Rachel Green, Monica Geller, Chandler Bing, Phoebe Buffay, and Joey Tribbiani, the 6 friends living in Central Park in Manhattan, have been our friends with their witty humors for 10 seasons.
Danger! Danger!
What the hell was that?
A lesson in the importance of unagi. Hey, look, I just want you guys to be safe.
Oh.
Danger! Unagi.
I remembered how I laughed my head off at this scene when I first saw it, and since then became a loyal fan of this popular sitcom. In fact, I have enjoyed it so much that I have watched many episodes more than once. I was so enchanted by these people's witty ways of speaking, which has brought for me both fun time and inspiration. Therefore, I chose to analyze the dialogues, especially the humors in the dialogues, to be the topic of my research. According to Martin, the Humor Styles Questionnaire is developed, in which the humors are divided into 2 dimensions, the positive and the negative, also categorized into enhancing the self and enhancing relationship with others. For the positive dimension, there are the affiliative humor and self-enhancing humor. Affiliative humor is presented when people are naturally responding in a pleasant situation and further facilitate interactions with others. Here is an example of this humor style.
Okay. I kind of think, if You're wearing the ring.
What's that?
And you told Phoebe you were engaged.
I'm sorry, what?
Ross and Rachel were considering to start dating again. However, Ross feels disappointed and betrayed when he realizes that Rachel was wearing a ring. Thus, Rachel tries to act innocent in hopes that she could get away with this awkward situation. On the other hand, self-enhancing humor is used when people face stressful situations. It can be regarded as a strategic way of speaking, converting a problematic situation into a lighter-hearted one so that the conversationalists could reduce unhappy emotions. Let's watch a clip for this humor style.
I'm not going to smoke again.
That's right, because I forbid you to smoke again.
You forbid me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, would you say this is the most upset you could be?
I think so.
Well, then I might as well do this. Not really sure what to do now.
Chandler feels upset after Monica forbids him to smoke. However, he tries to be funny in the middle of their argument so that they could both take a short break from the negative emotion. As for the negative humors, one can be labeled as aggressive. The most frequently seen strategies are irony, sarcasm, and teasing. All in all, this humor aims to tell negative information about something or someone in order to manipulate others and bring laughter. Here is a clip for this humor style.
Who do you want as your emergency contact?
Rachel, I guess.
Okay. Relationship? Oh boy, this could take a while.
As you may know, Ross and Rachel have a complicated relationship history. Thus, while Joey is helping Ross to fill out emergency forms, Joey teases Ross about it. The last humor style is self-defeating humor. This humor involves people making fun of themselves and attempting to hide their negative emotions. Let's look at an example of this humor style.
She said you actually proposed to her.
Well, I didn't. I didn't propose. Unless I... Did I? I haven't slept in 40 hours, and it does sound like something I would do.
Ross's failed marriages are a major laughing point throughout the whole show. Also, as he acknowledges that he has plenty of experiences in marriage, he often makes fun of himself when it comes to relationship-related topics, just as what he did here. By examining the funny jokes throughout the TV series, I have made an interesting finding. I detected gender differences in cracking a joke. I bet everybody remembers your naughty boyfriends when in elementary school. They spared no effort to sound funny and attention-catching by telling, very often, hurtful jokes. Young girls will feel annoyed by these manipulative jokes without realizing why and how. On the other hand, girls are taught to be nice and polite, avoiding provoking people's emotions, so if they are to utter something funny, they tend to avoid the negative ones. Although I have introduced to you the 4 humor styles according to the Humor Styles Questionnaire, it is not necessary for us to check if our humor corresponds to the circumstance every time we talk. However, it is still beneficial for people who want to improve their sense of humor. By understanding the 4 humor styles, it will be easier for us to use humor more appropriately. As I did my research, I believe that humor is one of the most important factors when it comes to interpersonal issues. The next time you face absurdities, the next time you want to interact with people pleasantly, remember that humor can be one of your best survival tools. Every time you find humor in difficult situations, you win. Thank you.